All right. Good day, everyone. Good day. Thank you for joining in today's session. Today we are talking on shell scripting. So we'll be taking a dive into shell scripting, and we have our guy here, our friend Ukeme, who will be taking us through today's session. Today we'll be diving into what you need to know about shell scripting. So this is a beginner session. So Kemen will be as brief as it will be as explicit as possible, so you could learn all what it is in shell scripting and just a an overview of what Kemen will be talking about today. So we all know that like a DevOps engineer, a system admin, or if you're working with Linux operating system, right? There are some tasks that you do repeatedly that you have to repeat over a period of time or over a couple of times that you need to repeat those tasks, right? So instead of you, so in order not to be repeating all those tasks manually all the time. So that's where shell scripting comes into place. You know, in a way to simplify your work, so you could automate all these tasks. Say like you do backup for your servers on a regular basis. So let's say it's a physical server that you have or a virtual server, and you take backup of files every now and then. So you could say you want those backup to be you are expected to be taking those backup around 12 p.m. or 12 a.m. in the midnight. You can't be doing that every day. You get burned out. So that's where shell scripting comes into play. So instead of you doing those tasks on a daily basis, you could write a couple of commands, or more or less the commands that you do, or the steps that you take in taking those backup. You can write them in a file and put the file in the system and command the system to say, oh, once it's this particular time, let me run this file. So all those commands that you do, those are more or less like your basic shell scripting. So say you copy file from one point A to point B, you can write a script. Shell scripting can be as basic as that. It's not that the way some people say it, that it is like one big work that you are doing, right? It can be as basic as say copy from point A to point B, right? So you can have a script to do that, and that is your shell script. As long as the script is doing what you intend for it to do, you are fine. So Kamal will be taking us through some of the things that we need to know around scripting, around shell scripting, right? So you'll also be taking us around things that revolved around the scripting, around things around the variables. You talk about loops and some of the conditions that needs to happen. Some because there are sometimes whereby you need to you need to run more or less like a bit of programming or a bit of conditioning in your scripts, right? So Kemal would be doing justice to that for us today. It will be as granular as possible for everyone to understand and to pick along. And so yeah, if you have questions during this session, please do drop it in this chat session. We would definitely try as much as possible to make justice to them. And also there will be a bit of giveaway. So I would advise be attentive in the chats and be active, right? So you won't miss the giveaway. It's a bit of token. So the giveaway is a bit restrained. So for guys joining us from outside of Nigeria, the giveaway is restrained to Nigerians only, right? So we are sorry about that, but we are still a growing community, and so the giveaway as of now is restricted to Nigerians alone, right? So we would be starting. I'll be bringing Ukeme upstage so he can give justice to this. Ukeme, are you ready for us?
Hey, my people. Hi, hi, hi. Hello, everyone. Hi, guys. Hi, guys. Welcome to today's session. Today is going to be a very, very interesting session today. We'll be covering shell scripting, and trust me, you don't want to miss this because, first of all, I'll take you to the rudimentary, the basics of shell scripting. If you have some form of programming language, then you have an edge. And then from there, I will go a bit, just a bit advanced to check a use case scenario where we'll be using a shell script to install Jenkins, Kubernetes, and Docker in a virtual machine as an EC2 instance. So let's get to it. I'm gonna, yeah, don't mind me, guys. Don't mind me. I'm that kind of person. Yeah, so shell scripting simplified for beginners presented by Ukeme David SMA. We'll do some theoretical aspects, then we go straight into it. So, what is shell scripting? So, shell scripting refers to writing a series of commands to shell for the shell, which is the command line interface. That's your terminal, right? For interacting with an operating system. So, when you have a computer and you want to interact with that computer, as a system admin or sometimes as a DevOps engineer, you have to go through your that's the you have to go through the command line interface, which is the terminal, right? So in that terminal, you can basically write instructions to the computer or the virtual machine to tell the machine to do some specific tasks for you. So shell scripting is a way to do that. So is a shell script. So a shell script is a plain text, right, that contains a sequence of commands for a shell to execute, right? So by shell, we are basically talking about possibly like the terminal or the CLI, right? So these scripts are used to automate various tasks, perform system administration, manipulate files, and perform other tasks that can be accomplished via the command line. Very important. You can't be in this business without knowing anything about shell, right? This thing is showing here. Let me hide this. Okay, great. Yeah. So the shell is actually a program that interprets commands and executes them. So common Unix and Linux operating systems, including Mac OS, Linux, and various flavors of DS BSD use shells. So these are like OSs, you know, OSs like Linux, Mac OS, BSD, they use shells. Even Windows also use shells too, but it's PowerShell. That's it for Windows. So they provide a way to automate repetitive tasks and can be scheduled to run at specific times or in response to specific events. So you see what I have here, where we say bash equals born again shell. For Nigerians, that should be very funny for you. Honestly, today was the first time that I knew. I didn't know that bash is like the acronym is an acronym for born again shell. I've been using this thing for years and I didn't really go back to check. So because of this, I had to go and check and I'm surprised. I wonder what inspired this kind of name. So SH is equal to born shell. So these are the types of shells that we use, like the common ones, right? So there's bash, there's sh, there's ksh, and then there's PowerShell, which is for Windows, right? So ksh is actually corn shell, right? So that's it for acronyms. Next, I think we're going straight to scripting. Good. So basic shell scripting structure. After this, we start practical straight. That's what we're here for. Shebang. So the shebang line, the first line of a shell script starts with the hashtag and then an exclamation, right? Specifies the shell that will interpret the script. So the next thing you see there under with the green background, which is the hashtag slash bin slash bash, we call that the shebang. So if you don't have any file that has that particular shebang as the first, it's usually at the top. So that's the first line of code. That indicates that, look, we are trying to execute a bash command, right? So that bin/bash is basically like the location where that program bash is. So we call that using the hashtag exclamation bin/bash. So it's called shebang. Sounds funny, right? This line indicates that the script should be interpreted using the bash shell, right? And then comments, just like many other programming languages, you use the hashtag for comments. So comments are ignored by the shell. You can add comments to explain your code, and it is very good. You add comments so once someone else who just sees your code will understand what you've written, because sometimes it might look like gibberish, even for us who understand these things, right? So a comment usually would give you a guideline of what to do. So we have variables and data types, right? So any programming language, these are like common structure: comments, variables, data types, conditions, loops. If these are like the structures, the foundations, the main thing you need to know. Once you know these principles, it's easy for you to play around with that language, manipulate things, or even play around with other programming languages you don't know. For example, if you bring a language that I don't know, for to some extent, I should be able to understand what's going on, since I know some of these basics. So variables basically are like containers in which you use to store a value. So if I say A equals ukeme, so A is the variable which is holding or storing the value called ukeme, right? So name equals John in quotes, right? So in quotes, so strings are anything, anything. This is commonplace to almost all programming languages. Anything in quotes, right, is a string. So if I say name equals ukeme in quotes, it means the name is the variable, and I'm assigning ukeme a string to that variable. You get? So strings enclosed in single or double quotes. Yes, I just said that right now. So numbers, shell treats all variables as strings. So if you even put a number there, you have to put it in a string, but it can still perform arithmetic operations even if it's in a string. Compared to other programming languages, if you put number 4, number 5, number 100 in a string, is no more a string. Sorry, if you put number 4, number 5, or whatever number or value, arithmetic value, in a string, it is a string. If you put it in quotes, it's a string. That's what I'm trying to say. You get? But other programming languages, if you just write 4 is a number. That's the data type. You get? But in shell, you have to put that 4 in a string, because every single variable, every single date, almost all the variables, right, are in strings automatically. So I hope you got that. Next slide. Yeah, so control structures, you have conditionals, right? So if else statements, you know for loop and all of that. If you have some programming language, it's going to be easy for you. But if you don't know anything about programming languages and you're just there like, what is all this thing that people are talking about? Let me now explain what conditions are. So conditions are what you use to make decisions. Let's say, for example, I want to go to ShopRite to get some things. Once I get to ShopRite, and then I'm like on the road, I'm just saying, if I get to ShopRite, I need to get milk. I need to get milk. So if I get to ShopRite and they don't have milk, if they don't have milk, then I can basically just buy butter. If they don't have milk and butter, I can decide to just buy water and just leave the place, right? Those, you see, it helped me make decision. I'm like, okay, if this is available, I can get this. If it's available, I can get this. If it is not, then I'll leave the place with just water. So those are conditionals, That's like you trying to simulate a condition for the computer to, follow that instruction. Do you get? So that's what are called conditionals if you are new to programming languages. So if statement, we have if statement, we have the if else statement, we have the else statement. So else is usually the last thing, you know. And then with shell, our we end our conditionals or our if else statement with fi. Do you get? That's what we have on the left hand side of the slide here. And then we also have for loops. Let's say I want to instruct the program to write from 1 to 10. I'm going to use a for loop to do that. That's what we have here on the right. We'll get into the practicality of these things. What's next? Let me see. Okay, so how do we now run a shell script? Let's get to the practicals. I'll share my screen. Share the entire screen. So I have an EC2 instance running. Let me show you so you know this is a live thing. We're working on a live project. I have this EC2 AWS instance, which is basically a virtual machine. It is running. I'm going to try to connect to it via the terminal. So it's my connection string. I'll take that and then come here and then connect. Connect. Great. So I'll clear that screen. On my left-hand side, I'll be writing code. On my right-hand side, I'll be doing some other things. Let me increase the size of this here. I'll connect here. I think I'm already connected. Oh, I'm not. I'll connect here. Right. Great. Okay. So now this is the command line. We can now start talking to the machine, right? So with Ubuntu, you can write bash. Bash, we're talking about bash scripts, bash commands. And I'll teach you the most common commands. You have ls. Ls is basically to list all the files there. These are for people who don't know, because I know we have professionals and top dogs here. We have gurus here. But for people who don't know, I just have to cover it because it's a beginner's class. LS means list out everything there. LS-LTR basically means, okay, list out everything. Give me more information by giving me, on this side, you see all the permissions. Arrow for read on the left hand side here. You see all the permissions, R for read, W for write, and then X for execute. And then you have that for a group, you have that for an individual. I'm sure one of my colleagues has covered this in the last session. I think Chukuka covered this, so I'm not going to go there. This is not a user or permissions session. I'm just showing you. So the reason why we have this now, we show that you can list and see if the files are executable or not. The ones that have X here, it means they are executables. You can execute them as a program, right? So let me go back to my slide and see. Let me know where I'm going to get you guys from. Okay, let's go back a bit. Aha, we'll come here. But then there's a command called echo. Echo means print. If you know some other programming languages, they use print a lot. In JavaScript, they don't use print in JavaScript. They use console.log, right? So I'll just echo, I am the greatest. Oh, that's too proud. Then just echo Tesla. Very simple. It spits back Tesla. So this is basically just printing something to the terminal. Now, if I have this and I want to write it in a file, remember, I want to write it in a file called assumptions.txt. No, assumption is too much. Let's see, cars.txt. If I do ls-ltr now, you will see that I don't have any file called tesla.txt or cars.txt. So I can write this command, echo Tesla, and then create a file by using this arrow, meaning write into something. So I'm going to write it into a car.txt file. So if I do this, it basically just doesn't print anything, but it echoes that, it writes that Tesla into that car. If I do ls.ltr again, we now have this file. Oops, this is it, cars.txt, right? So let's now check what is inside there. In Linux, how we do that is by saying cat. So we say cat car.txt, and you see it spits out Tesla. So that's what is inside that file called car.txt. If I want to write something else inside and I say echo, which other car are they now? Let's say I like Benz. Benz. It's going to overwrite what is there. It's going to overwrite what is in car.txt. What was inside before was Tesla. So let me cut it now and see. See now, it's spitting out what Benz. And we don't want this. We want to be able.
Yeah,
Oh,
it looks like
see,
you're presenting your slide. You're not presenting your CLI.
oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh my God. You should have said that earlier that you know what I'm presenting. I can't see. I'm going to start again. So ls-ltr list out. Thank you so much, Ghost Time. I wouldn't have known. Let me delete. Let me delete that car.txt because I created it earlier. So if I do ls.str, there's 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 dash ls-ltr. There's nothing like cars.txt file here. So what I want to do now is I want to echo Tesla as a string into a file that doesn't exist, right? So if I say car.txt is going to create that car, it's going to write Tesla into that car. So if I cut it, show how we kind of like read and show on the terminal what is inside the file is using command cat. So if I say cat car.txt, I have Tesla, right? So if I now want to append, I know why I'm doing this, just so you have a foundation that will get to something a bit more advanced. For those who are new, I'm using an Ubuntu system. So if you have Linux, anything Linux, Git, Bash, you can possibly write most of this. So if I then say Benz, I want to write Benz inside that card.txt file. If I do this and then I cut it again, Benz that is there. So it overrides what was there initially. Do you get? So, and that's not what we want. We want it to append. So to append, you have to now use this arrow. You have to add two arrows to it. I'm going to put Tesla there. So what does this mean? If I cut now, we'll have two items there. We'll have a Benz and a Tesla. So let me cut this. You see that now we have Benz and Tesla. Good. Now we have that foundation set. So that's us talking to the terminal. Now we want to be able to do all these things in a file. If I have a long command to do, like a long list of things to do or some things, I can't be doing that here on the terminal. I need to write a file and then I would execute that file and the file will do all those things that I want it to do, right? So if I share back my presentation, we're going to play around with, let's play around with what's on the right here, which is the if else statements, right? So I'm going to create a new file. We create files in two ways in Linux. You can say touch, let me just call this file if else .sh. Now, if you want to write a shell script or if you have shell scripting, you must have this extension.
Okay, man.
S.
You're showing your slide again.
Oh God, am I missing this thing? Thank you. Keep reminding me if I miss that. That's why we always need someone like GT in the studio. Yes. So let me go back. We create files in two ways. It's either we do nano, and then we say the name of the file if else, This now will open a text editor. If I say .sh, you need to have this .sh extension here. This shows that you're writing a shell script, right? If I do .txt, we know that that's just text. If I say .mp3, we know that that's music. If I say .png, we know that that's an image, right? If I say .jpg is an image, you understand that now. .mov is a movie, right? Or .vlc. No, not VLC. You get those. That's for extension. So if I do .sh, it's going to open a text editor for me. Now, another way to open to create a file is by saying touch. If I say touch, if else two dot, that to spell else lse.sh. This is going to create the file, but it's not going to open an interactive terminal for me. Sorry, an interactive editor for me to edit. So you see, if I now do ls here, so that's if else two. Where is that? Where is it? 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 Wait, am I seeing? Oh, I said just if else, which is just this file on the left. So it's supposed to be if else two. If I put two there and I ls again, you see that file is here, but it didn't open any editor, interactive editor. So I'm just going to delete it because we don't need any file. Rm is to delete if else two file.sh gone. Ls is no more there, right? So let's go back to our real cocoa or the real meat here. Now, what we want to do is we want to play around with if else statement. Like I said, conditionals. If this thing happens, what else should happen? If this doesn't happen, what should happen? And then I said earlier, I mentioned something called shebang. Now that shebang, so shebang is like the first. You must always write shebang. That's this bin slash bash. This is the first thing that indicates that okay, I'm about to write a shell script inside a shell script, a .sh extension file, right? So, like I said, variables. I want to create a variable called name. Now, if you put space like this and say, okay, man, it won't work. So it has to be one word. In other programming languages, you can put space there. JavaScript is allowed, but here it's just one word, right? If I do this and then I come to the next line, I say echo. This time, if I want to reference this name here, I have to use a $sign to reference it inside of a string, right? I'll say, okay, man. Okay. So now, if I save this, save it, I'm going to execute it from here. Now, to execute files, let me go back to, yeah. So I've created a file now called if else.sh. Okay. So that file, what the file does is it echoes my name, right? So this is actually writing the entire instruction, right? Create a file with the extension .sh. Now I want to execute it. I want to make that file executable. This is the command here on line 3, right? Number 3, which says chmod plus x example.sh. So that means that modify this file to be an executable. You must always do that. So let's go back. And then if you now want to execute, once you now have that permission, it means you're giving it permission to execute. Once you now have that permission to execute on line 5, to execute the file is a / the file name, right? So let me go back and show you. So we will now say ch on my left, chmod plus x if else sh. So it's now an executable. And I execute it / it's going to spit out my name, okay, man, usually. That's what it's going to do. So if I say if else sh, okay, man, do you understand? So let's go back in and add some conditions to it. So I'll come back here and run a manual again. So this time is if what do I want to do? Wait, let me check something. I'm trying to look at what I did here. Okay, if okay, I played around with the name. Let's go back. Yep. So I'm saying if this name here up here, right, is equal to, if you use one, that's what some people who are new to programming, they miss this a lot. If you use one equal to sign, it means you are assigning. If you use two equal to sign, it means you are trying to evaluate. Do you get? If name is equal to ukeme, oops, is do no then echo Elon Musk's, let's say Elon Musk's younger brother. Younger brother. Oh, God. So Elon Musk's younger brother, right? And else echo Jeff Bezos. That is friend of Bezos. Anyways, and then you end it by if. So this is how to write an if else statement. Okay. Hopefully we should not run into any error. Wait, let's do this. Let's add Ukeme's name inside here. Say Ukeme, the string is Elon Musk. Yes, so this is what we're doing. We have a value, we have a variable assigned Ukeme to that variable called name, echo it so we know that works. And then if this name is equal to this string, right? Echo this name. This is supposed to be name. Mistake. Don't mind me. Sometimes you can make some of those silly mistakes. So this name here, this variable name is Ukeme's younger brother. If this is not equal to this, then echo Jeff Bezos, then end with if. Okay, let's execute this. We've already made that. We've made it an executable. Why? How do I know? If I do, we've done this before. That's a chmod plus x, so there's no need to do it again. If I say ls that's ltr, we can now see. I'm going to zoom out a bit. We can now see that this file has this x here, right? It means an executable. Let's execute it. Dot slash. Okay, man. That's if else dot sh. Okay, so there's an error there. Unexpected end of file. What could that be? Oh, so you see the error there. I'm sure some of you must have seen. It's supposed to be fi. That's how you end files. I'm sure some of you must have seen it. But anyways, on that again. So you see, we have this result. Ukeme, oops. Ukeme is Elon Musk's younger brother. Good. So we are good with that. I'm gonna come back here. Yes, so we've covered conditionals. Okay. And the next thing, yes, so how to execute it. The next thing, yes, so functions. Functions are very, 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 very like important in every programming language. A very important element. We would now try to create a function using the bash script. So what I'm going to do is I'll create a folder, mkdir, create a folder called test. I'm going to go into that folder by doing std test. I have a reason why I'm doing this. And then I'll nano and create a file called functions. sh, remember. So now, how do I write a function? Shebang, that's the first thing you have to do. So shebang bin slash bash, and then what's the time? Okay. And then we can now create a function. We can say, let's just do greet, like what's there. So greet function always has this, and then you have this, then you have this, and then you can write your statement, your block of code inside of here. All right, so echo welcome. I want to pass a parameter there. Welcome here one. So where I have this one here, it basically means once I want to call this function, whatever I'm passing into the parameter will go there. So let's call the function, we'll say greet, greet, and then we'll pass Keme there. So the result should be welcome Keme when we try to execute this. So I'm going to save this. And then if I do ls-ltr, we can see that this file doesn't have that executable because there's no x here. So we have to do it chmod plus x function sh. If you run that again, we should see the x here. Now it's an executable. If I do dot slash functions, it should say welcome Ukeme. Get that. So we're good with functions. These are just the basics. We get a bit more complex. I'll show you a more complex ones. A complex script. So let's go back to our, yes, so we covered functions. Yeah, so now how would a user get an input? Okay, what's the full meaning of fi? Honestly, I don't know. I actually feel it's the reverse of if. I didn't check, but I feel it's the reverse of if because that's how you used to end an if statement. So yeah. Yeah. So now how do you receive? You can Google it to check, or if you find out, just let me know. But I think it's the reverse of if. So how do we now receive data or input from the user? We use read. Read is what we use. We say read a specific variable, and then you can get that variable from the user. Let's do that. So I'm going to create a new file. I was doing it here. Okay, let me just do it here. I'm going to create a new file called nano user.sh. So with nano user.sh, shebang as usual, in slash bash, and then I can say echo, like what's there. Let's just say what's your dream car. It's not my dream car, so but I like the car. Anyways, then we say read car. You need to get the name of the car from the user, and then echo your dream car is whatever that car is. Right. Passing a variable. So let's save that. Oops, did I save it? Oops. Okay. Oh yeah. Yeah, I think if I cut that file, let me see if I actually something is going on. Okay, because I thought maybe I wasn't presenting the screen again. So if I can't use the sh, yeah, so we have that there. Now let's run that command. We have to give it execution right, chmod plus x, user the sh, ls-ltr. You see it has the execution right here, right? I would now execute that user, right? And then he asks me, what's your dream car? I say Benz, let me say Mercedes, let's just say Benz. You know it's Mercedes Benz. Benz GLE 450, 450S or 450 coupe. Let's do the S version. I like that S one. 450S. You see, your dream car is Benz GLE 450S. So we know how to now receive data from the user and speed it out by echoing it via the script. Let's go back to the next thing. Yep. Arrays. So arrays are very, these are data types that all these things are very common with all programming languages. We're just going through the same programming basics, but we're using Bash to do it. I'm running out of time, but let's just quickly do that. Um, we have to create an array. In fact, because of time and I have some other things to do, I already have these files here, so I'll just run you through them. If I do ls, now we have I'll do nano arrays because I need to show you how to execute something. So let's explain what's going on here. So we have fruit. So arrays actually hold, a variable holds maybe just one value, but an array can hold more than one value, possibly of different data types, strings and text, right? But this time we're holding various values, but they're all strings. So we assign fruit equals to you know an array in bash via when you see a bracket there. Yeah, you see a bracket and then you have all the items inside of it, all the values. So we have mango, grape, and apple, right? So here we are now echoing fruits with the index of zero. So in programming, we don't start counting from one, we start counting from zero. You get, so you don't start counting from one. The first value is zero, second value is one, third value is two, right? So in terms of the index, we have index of zero, one, and two. So when we put zero here, we're referring to mango, okay? So in this next line, we are now looping, we're creating a for loop, right? Here, we're looping through fruits, right? I'm saying for fruit, one of these fruits, in fruits, right? So for fruits in fruits, these fruits, this at index is saying print everything. If I put just zero there, it's going to bring out mango. If I put just one here, it's going to bring out grape. If I put two there, it's going to bring out apple. But I'm putting at there. So at basically means bring out everything. So after I've looped for fruit, while I'm looping through it, do this. Print out fruit. That's for each one. Print out each of them here for each one, right? Do you understand? And then you say done by specifying, okay, I'm done for this for loop. I'm gonna save this. It's already saved. I think it already has execution rights, but anyways, let's just do that. Chmod plus x, oops, plus x arrays, right? And then execute it, an array. So mango, first mango refers to, let me open it here. Nano arrays. So this first mango refers to this first, we echoed, yes, here, right? And then the second mango is basically now starting the loop. So
Sorry,
one,
Karen.
two, three.
There's a
Okay.
question.
I'm going to loop some more.
There's a question.
Okay, let's check. Okay, okay. Wait, I've been sharing. Why did somebody not tell me that I wasn't sharing? Are the keywords case sensitive? Are the keywords case sensitive? Honestly, I think they are case sensitive, but inside the string is not. They are case sensitive. Yes, I think. But we can check. We can check. This was what I was showing you guys. This was what I was supposed to show you guys. So let me see if it's case sensitive. It's always good to experiment. So it is case sensitive. I changed 4 to a capital letter F here, and now the color changed, so it's not going to run. we would probably have an error, but let's try that. It's good to experiment. If I do that, I come here, try to execute it, and yeah, we have an error, so it's case sensitive. Good. So if you're inquisitive about things, just try and make mistakes and just see what happens. Now I'm gonna nano back into that, change it to F. Yes. So I'm going to change this index here, this first index to, I'm going to change it to 2. So if I change it to 2, this is a teaser now. Oh yeah, if I change this to 2 now, what's going to be the answer? The first person gets a prize. In the comments, if I change this fruit index to 2, what will be the answer? Okay, apple. So that's the first person. Let's check if it's correct. I know you are correct, but let's just check. You're correct. So that guy is getting a prize. Admins, please take note of that guy's name. So let's run it. Great. Apple. Voila. That's our first winner for today. Admin, please get his name. Okay. All right. So I now want to add some things there. If I say through, let's loop through 1 to 5, right? Actually, I want to loop from number 1 to number 5. Right? I can just do, we're running out of time. Let me just skip this. Let me skip this. Don't worry. So I'll go back to my presentation. Yes, we've covered inputs, we've covered arrays. What's next? Yeah. So this now is command line argument. So you can pass arguments on your to your script when you are using executing it. So you can create variables in your script, yeah, and then when you want to execute it, Abdul Razak Noibi is the person who won. Abdul Razak Noibi, you won. Right. So going back, you can pass arguments to your script when executing it. So if you put in like some variables in your script, you can now pass the arguments when you want to execute them. So if I have a file called script.sh, if I do /script.sh, I can now pass in those arguments there. Right? I can say car, bike, whatever, and it spits out the answer. Right? So let's do that. I'm not going to write that code because I already have that file somewhere. We're running out of time. Where's that file? What did I name it as? Sorry, let me just check. We're talking about command line. We're talking about command line. So it means that file would be command line. Okay, CLI args. So I have this file here called CLI args, right? I'm gonna nano so you see what's up inside. Great. So now this is CLI args. The first shebang as usual, and then we say access command line argument. So we say the first, you should first echo this first argument. We say number 1. That's the first thing. Second argument, number 2. Third argument, number 3. Now, if I now want to know the number of arguments I've passed, I'll use the hashtag. So $ hashtag to reference it. If I want to list out all the arguments like we did with, so you see the similarities with these things. If I want to list out all the arguments, I can use the @ sign. If I want to list out the script name, I list 0, right? Do you get? So let's execute that and see. So it means while I'm executing it, I have to pass in those values. I have to pass in values for 1, 2, and 3, and then # and 0 would be automated by the system. Um, so what's the name of that file? ls. I think he already has already ls-ltr. I think that file has execution rights. Let me see. Where is it? CLI args. Yes, this file. It doesn't have execution rights, so we have to give it rights. Chmod as usual plus x CLI args. If we ls and SDR again, we see now that that file that has execution rights. Okay, so we can now execute that file and see the result of slash CLI args. Now we can pass in these values of 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to call some of the favorite things I like. I like robots. I like a Tesla. I like I like Mars. I'm very similar to Elon Musk. So if I execute that, I will see. Let's compare what we have on both sides of the string. We have the first argument, which is robot, one here. Number two, Tesla. Number three, Mars. And then number hashtag number of arguments, which is three. I know initially I said we start counting from zero. Normal, when you're running loops, normal in all programming languages, you start counting from zero, but not one. But this, because it's an argument, we have to use one, two, and three. I wonder why they did that, Sha. We can go and argue with the creators, but to me, I felt they should have started with zero. Okay, I think I know why they did that, because the script name is now zero. So it starts with, oh, the name of the file, right? So the name of the file. So these are like this is like getting metadata. So here, 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 here. Wait, am I sharing? Okay, good. I just have to check. So here, here, and here is trying to get metadata, and that's what we have here. So all arguments, robots, Tesla, and Mars, and then the name of the file, which is CLI, and the arguments, three arguments. Good. So let's go back. What's next? We're rounding up. I really need to show you guys some very. I have this repo where I push shell scripts to, and I would like people to contribute. Okay, good. With this, I'm not going to execute this. Should I execute it? Should I execute it? Okay, let's do this. File operations. How do we now perform operations like read, write, and append to a file? Uh, Go back and check. We have that ls. Where's that file? Where's that file? Where's that file? What's the name of the file? Self. You file ops. I think it's file ops. So if I cut file ops, I just need to be sure that's the file. So file ops, yes, that's the file. I'm gonna nano it, and let me do ls. I'll nano it from here. Nano file ops. Um, okay, file ops.sh. Good. So what's this saying? We're reading files, right? While we're reading this file, this now from here is saying that you take it each line by line, right? This dash R is saying that when you see backslash, you should escape backslash, because normally in program, when we want to, if you have, let's say you're installing a lot of things, I'll show you later, and you have line one, line two, line three, right? If you are doing that in the CLI, you can say put a backslash to like break to the next line. So this dash R here is saying that we should escape backslash, right? And then echo the line, each line, echo each line, and then append to input the text, and then read input the text, and then done, which is that's how you end a while loop. There's a while loop here, right? So it's just a while while command. Read this thing, or while loop, yes, read this thing and do while loop. I think that's what they call it. It's a do while loop. You get, so while this do this, you get for this file. We might run into an error because I don't think I have an input.txt file. But let's see. And then echo, this is how to write a file. I think I mentioned we did this earlier. You use one arrow key, right arrow key to write into. You use two arrow key to append, meaning add under the previous value that was inside that file. So let's execute that. We check if it has execution rights. ls str. We're running out of time. I need to rush. Dash ltr. What's the name of that file again? File ops. File ops. It doesn't have it. Let's do that. Chmod plus x. File ops. Um, oops. I'm always making that mistake. And then we can execute file ops. You see, we get that error because there's no file like that. So let's create that file. There's no file called input.txt. I'm going to create that file. Now, no input.txt. Oops. Oopsie. I hope I'm sharing. Let me check. Okay, because GT didn't say anything. There's a question there. How do I allow our script to accept multiple arguments instead of one? Yes, now. One, two, three. Those are the multiple arguments. Do you get? They represent the multiple arguments. So one represents the first argument, two represents the second argument, three represents the third argument. It doesn't mean it's going to those arguments. This one, two, three actually houses the value. It doesn't have the value called one, two, three. It has the value of your argument. Whatever you put as a placeholder when you're executing that command, you get is what 1, 2, 3 is going to bring out. So if you have more, let's say one is Tesla, two is Mars, three is robots. Okay, it is going to use this 1, 2, 3 to hold that value as a variable. So anywhere you see a dollar sign is actually referring to a variable. Okay, so I think I covered that. I'm going to go back and we will create this file, and I'm just going to write some other things that I really like. I like rockets. I like, what do I like again? I like sci-fi. I like video games. Then we'll save that file. So let's run this again. So we see, let's compare what we have here and here. So this is a do while loop. While we IFS means we are trying to read, it allows you to put in this command. So we read escape backslash line by line, and then we echo each line here. You see, so we have a dollar sign here. So it means line is a variable housing most of the values we are passing in from this file. This line is the most interesting part, right? So it's reading from a file, and then it's actually just reading from a file and then taking them line by line, right? So, and that's what we have there. And then this now on this side here, it created a file called output.txt and it added hello world in it and it added additional text in it. So if I look for that file, if I cut output.txt, we have hello world additional text. I hope you get this. This is very, very interesting. Sweet stuff. I'm telling you, very sweet stuff. Once you start doing some advanced ones, you'll be very you get sweet stuff. Okay, good. So let's see what's next before I share my repo with you. Thank you. Good. So I have a repo. Wait, see me. Let me just share one repo. Oh, are we out of time? See me. Oh, wow. All right. Yeah, you're not meant to hear that. So I'm going to I'm going to share a repo. We have just some people here. Please don't leave. Oh, this is the interesting part. This
Yeah.
is the interesting part.
Okay, man,
So that
sorry. I stepped out of my away from my system.
okay, please just give me like 10 minutes to just wrap up. I know we're out of time, but give me 10 minutes to do some little magic.
All right. All right.
Yeah. All right. So I have this repo, useful bash scripts. So I have all of them here. I use them when I need to install some stuff. And then I will show you. This is now the practicality of it, to how we actually use it in our everyday job life. So I have this one called, which one should I? Jenkins plugin or installer. This installs Jenkins. This is how the code looks. Resume. What do you? Okay, you can do this on GitHub. So as usual, Shebang is saying Shebang Jenkins creates a variable, right? It creates a variable called Jenkins URL, and it's on port 8080 on localhost. Here it's going to call, meaning it's going to download some files, cookies, using all of this, and then it pipes it down. It gets more complicated, and then it pipes it down. It pipes a this. I actually don't know what this is doing, but this particular one here, but I know it's piping down this command to this, and then this part here is actually talking about the user admin, and then we have this, the Jenkins token, right? And this is the Jenkins token. Okay, most of these things are online. And then it's going to echo the URL, it's going to echo the Chrome, it's going to echo the token. And then, like you saw earlier, you see where all these things are coming in now. You see the do while loop. So while we are reading the plugin, while we are reading, where is that line? Okay. While we are reading the plugin, do this echo installing, right? And then it's going to start taking from this variable called plugins, and this is plugin here, and then it just kind of like it just installs Jenkins for you. And then we have this one here, CentOS installer. So I use this when I'm working with a CentOS machine, right? What it does is that for CentOS 8 Shebang, it says echo that, oh, this is a CentOS installer, oh, right? Here now it's saying sudo yum install. So the package manager for CentOS is yum. For Ubuntu is app.get, you get app that gets dash get install. Okay, so this is just installing the yum utilities and the latest release. That's like updating stuff. And then this here installs Jenkins. This here installs Docker. This then installs Maven. So this has three packages there for CentOS. We'll use one of them. And then we have essentials.sh. This, let me just share this with you. So you have this and you can also play around with it. Yeah. So, um, where was I? Here. Okay. So for essential the sh, we is a lot. Is a lot. So you can now see where some of these things come in. If you understand the basics of how these things run, you can easily manipulate everything. So here it's going to install some system packages. It's going to update it, it's going to reload the daemon, it's going to download this coil. Actually is a program to download stuff from the internet. It's going to download this cloud.google, this apt key. It's going to download it, and then it's going to cat. This cat actually means, like we said earlier, to put something on screen. This was going to put on screen, and then it installs Kubernetes here. This is where it installs Kubernetes, and then it's meaning it installs Kubernetes, yes, kubectl and all of that. And then you see PIP3 install JC. PIP3 is actually a Python package manager. It's installing JC. From there, it does this, you know, going with all that, if the script is not executed on the cloud. Okay, so now what this actually means here is saying that if we're not executing this on a VM, on a cloud VM, then there's no need for putting this, but this has something to do with the cloud VM. And then here, we're downloading files, we have container D, installing that, container D is for Docker. We do that, we say systemctl enable kubelet. We're just enabling some other programs and services inside the system. Here it properly installs Kubernetes. We can't go through everything. I've sent you the link, you can go check it. And then here installs Java and Maven, here installs Jenkins, and then it echoes completed. So you see this here now, we're going to play around with it. So I'm going to copy this. I'm going to go inside my computer. Yes, because this is a live computer. And then I'm going to, let's be sure that Jenkins is not installed or kubectl is not installed. So if you say kubectl, I think it's, wait. If I say Jenkins version, oops, that's how to spell version. But anyways, it just tells you that Jenkins is not installed. Yeah. So if we now want to find out, we now want to install all of that, I can now create an installer.sh file, nano installer.sh file. Now, this is the practical things. This is how we use scripts every day. I'm going to paste it here. Right. I'm going to save that and then give it execution rights. chmod.x plus x installer, and then yes, I'm gonna execute that. Oh, so it says permission denied, so we have to give it permission. We say sudo, and then it's going to do its magic. So you see all those things, I can't be doing them one by one. That's why shell script is important. It does the automation for you. You can do a cron job, meaning you can decide to, that's another script, but let's not go there. Now I'm going to show you something else before we end with Kubernetes, how you can use this in even Terraform, right? How to deploy in Terraform using a script. So this is the last part. We're ending here. So if I have a Terraform infrastructure, I'm creating VPC, I'm creating VPC, I'm creating EKS cluster, I'm creating the node groups, I'm creating the security groups. There's so many things you you want to create, and then we probably want to use Terraform to do most of that automation processes. But then, how do we tell Terraform to this is like a Terraform setup. We have EKS here, EKS, this one here should create the provider, which is AWS and Kubernetes. We are rounding up this here. Tier vars is where I have all my values, like my variables. I define them here. We have the VPC, which contains the subnet and the NAT gateways and the DNS host system and all of that. And then we have our deployments. We have our deployment file here. Where's that deployment file? Where is it? We have a deployment file here. This actually creates the node, and then is actually getting an image, an application somewhere from ECR. This will get the image, and then we are opening this. We're creating a service, which is a load balancer that gives us the endpoint on how we can get to the application. So how do we execute all of this? I created a file called deploy.sh here. So deploy.sh, see shebang now. Shebang then runs the bash script saying Terraform init, Terraform applied, auto approve, and here is also executing the kubectl command to deploy the deployment and then the service. If I come here, you see where we use variables. I'm gonna on yeah. So here now, creates this variable. It gets the output from Terraform, the EKS cluster name. It creates another variable, assigns it to the region from the output from Terraform, which is AWS region, and then it passes them as variables into here, and then this is where we now configure kubectl. You see how bash script is very, very important. You understand? So I'm going to end here today. It's a very extensive thing to do, but I mean, I believe you must have understood something today. So thank you so much. This is where I would call it a day. Thank you, guys. Thank you. See me back here. So only one person won. All right. So see me, are you there? All right. Thank you so much for attending today's session. If you have any questions, do let me know. Any questions? There's a link. All right. No questions. So we'll call it a day. Bye bye.